Oh no, I'm not intentionally being quiet for no reason. I'm just kind of going over my script of what I'm going to tell you guys. No, you guys know me. If you're a new or returning viewer or subscriber, you know I ad-lib most of my stuff. I ad-lib. Until basically I hit it big. Let's just say I hit it real big in terms of subscribers. I just hit it big. I'm pretty much ad-libbing. And probably if I did hit it big, like very popular and all that in terms of the YouTube game, I think I still ad-lib. I like ad-libbing. It's kind of my thing. Well, anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you're in. This is not a walkthrough, and this is not a playthrough. Nah, you guessed it. This is basically the Thomas Was Alone verdict video. Shall we get reviewing? That's a new one. I might keep that going forward. Well, anyway. Now, as you basically have watched my previous verdict videos, I like to basically go into the logistics. I like to go to the negative first, then the positive, but sometimes I change it up and basically give the review score at the beginning, or I give it towards the end. And pretty much anybody who's watching this video, because this is going to be in 1080p, that's another thing I kind of let you guys know. It's not going to be in 4K because I did 4K with one of my verdict videos like before, but it just takes long to upload the verdict video, and people just want to kind of get like, what do you like about the game? What do you not like about the game? And the score. So that's kind of my ebb and flow. I either do the score at the beginning or the end, then I talk about the negative and the positive, and then I pretty much tell you what's going to be the schedule going forward, or what's going to be the plan of action. That's kind of sums it up. So, without further ado, what do I give Thomas Was Alone? Out of 10. 8 out of 10. It generally surprised me, and I'll go straight to what was my negative about it. Even I'm generally surprised of why I gave it that kind of high. Because I was really legitimately going to give it a 7 out of 10, but it did some pretty positive. The positive outweighed the negative. So, let's talk about the negative. In terms of the difficulty level, I may have known this. It was not too difficult. And I'll explain. Compared to most puzzle, I guess this is kind of considered a puzzle platformer, so in the vein of Super Meat Boy, just more chill and more easy. That's kind of very surprising. The puzzles can be solved less than 5 minutes if you're really just like a puzzle master. If you played a lot of puzzle games, this is not a very hard. It's not a hard puzzle game. It is absolutely not a hard puzzle game, and that kind of where I knocked down a few points. It was enough to take Tim 2 points away from a perfect 10. This game was not going to be a perfect 10. I can honestly tell you, it was not going to be a perfect 10. It was the difficulty level. I kind of wish they gave us kind of like maybe normal or easy. It doesn't need to be hard, but I get this type of game and the tone it was going for. It just was really easy to solve the puzzles. Yes, there were a few that was kind of like, oh my gosh, I need a Google walkthrough or YouTube walkthrough to get through this, but it was kind of a dime a dozen. It just was very few of levels, specific levels that actually I just threw my hands up and I'm like, I need to Google this. But for the most part, like 90% of the time, I guess really 95% of the time, the puzzles were easy to solve, and it took a little bit of trial and error for the later levels, but overall, no, there were some pretty legit easy levels. Like, if you are not going to be a completist, you could probably beat the game under 5 hours. That's how easy the levels are. Not on purpose, it's just... Yeah, I just didn't think the levels were incredibly hard. In fact, I thought they were easy. That kind of sums it up. That's the only negative I had, which is generally surprising. I didn't see any technical issues, frame rate dips, or any visual screen tearing. No, in fact, the game played pretty well, and the loading screen wasn't even bad. I can't even diss the loading screen because 1 minute we have a quote of basically proceeding to the next level, then pretty much a few seconds we're in the game. Not because of PS5 hardware. It's not a big game. It's not a flashy game. It's just an indie game. That kind of sums it up. This one is going to be one of my shorter reviews. I think I estimate less than 20, minimum maybe 10 minutes, but we'll see. Positive. Yeah, the Danny Wallace. If there's going to be one thing you walk away from my verdict video, Danny Wallace needs to narrate more games. Put him in more narrator roles. Put him as the narrator. He's good at it. In this game, he's excellent. From the beginning, Thomas was alone. Wow, that's the first thought I had. And that really just generally sets the tone of the game that you're going to be playing. Danny Wallace just has a kind of like sincerity when it gets kind of like some kind of really philosophical talk in this game, or just when he's being sarcastic or being witty, or just being kind of like really interested in his role, or he's really giving it like 110% in the narrator role. Like I said, overall, put Danny Wallace as a narrator role. He just delivers every line with gusto. He's just a great storyteller, and he really compels you to go to the next level. I just felt like Danny Wallace really gave it his all, and you could tell. I'm not gonna look at him the same way as Sean Hastings in Assassin's Creed. No, this was one of his top roles. He gave it his all, and it's excellent. And he just every line, and it helps with the sharp writing, really precise, sharp writing that really fits with this guy's style. If this is Danny Wallace's style, he needs to do more book on tape, whatever. Utilize Danny Wallace. He was really one of the highlights, the very possible highlights. I think he won BAFTA awards for his role in this game, and it shows. I can see why. He's the only person reading the script, and they paid him. I hope they paid him well for this. I hope they extremely paid him well. Yes, I gave a lot of praise to Danny Wallace, but he was really one of the highlights of this game. Without him, the game would not be as well. I would have gave the game an 8 out of 10. He's a very strong part of the reason why the game works so well. Yeah, kudos to Danny Wallace. Hope he's listening to this video, or he's probably seen it in multiple video reviews of Thomas Was Alone. Absolutely. Moving on. No, I will talk about how strong the writing is because of Danny Wallace. I think I emphasized and got straight to the point. Next positive. I put emphasis on this. Puzzle physics. Puzzle physics. Yes. I know why this was such a positive. From basically the red, pretty much Thomas and James, kind of like you have to move them up or down in terms of the level, to basically when you get the full assortment of all the characters, from Thomas to Sarah, how they all combine and work in perfect synergy to progress through the puzzles, to when you get to the section with Gray and I think it was Sam and Joe. Don't quote me on that. All the puzzle physics, even though the levels are most of the time easy, you can't deny that they put a lot of creativity for the level design. All of the level designs, even if the ones are easy, they're all intricately designed, and I love it. I love every single time of it. From just basically Thomas' kind of super Meat Boy jump, to Sarah's double jump, to pretty much Claire's kind of like very stone drop that really is very essential for water levels, to James' inverted controls is one of the best parts. Everyone is essential in terms of the puzzle mechanics because of all the different personalities in terms of like the rectangles. In a sense, yeah, it just makes everything fun. It makes it so unique throughout each level, because there's so much creativity, and it shows with the level design too. Not only just the rectangle characters that you play, it shows in the level designs of what you're going to be doing with that character. All the characters gameplay style just really adds to the experience and enhances the experience. I know I sound excited when I'm describing the puzzle physics, but I think it was one of the highlights. Nothing just felt unfinished or nothing felt left out. Everything just felt ebb and flow with the puzzle physics to a very impressive degree. I was actually surprised of how much puzzle physics when we got to the end of how much we can buy. It was a very generally fun experience with the puzzle physics. That's all I'm going to say about it. It was very fun. Now, the other positive that I was actually generally surprised about too was the soundtrack. The soundtrack was very fantastic. Case in point, the opening. I think it really sets the tone of what you're getting into. It's very gentle and just really eases you into it. But when it gets too serious, to kind of like whimsical, the composer, David Housden, he wasn't my favorite artist, but for this type of game, I think he had a fantastic soundtrack. He really emphasized and really got to that sweet spot of what you needed to feel for certain scenes. Even when you were transitioning every scene, he just had a very kind of tranquil, peaceful, but he really knows when to pull back or restrain, or really just kind of goes into that narrative, emotional sweet spot, I'm going to call it, in terms of sound. I think he had a fantastic soundtrack, and if he does video game soundtracks going forward, I kind of look forward to it. I think he was the right guy for this type of game. And from the opening to the ending, yeah, the soundtrack never let up. It was one of the other positives, like Danny Wallace. Yeah, there was just too many positives in terms of that. Yeah, his soundtrack really kept you going, and it never was a letdown. That's what I appreciate about it. It was never a letdown. In fact, I always liked when he always did any music in terms of that. Yeah, I know that was short in terms of talking about the soundtrack, but yeah, I think kudos on pretty much Danny Housden. I think he did really well done. Well done on that soundtrack. And the last point. How many minutes have I gone? 12 minutes. Okay, well, I guess I did say it was going to be a minimum of 10 minutes, but less than 20, so here's my last positive. The characters. All of them were endearing. Even Gray the Liar, that I even looked up what his name was. All the characters were endearing because of how so vibrant, so endearing they were. From Thomas, who his optimism and not wanting to be alone is just so relatable in so many layers. From pretty much John, the pencil, Nick, Jumper, and the list goes on. All the characters, within basically the few seconds, really established their personalities thanks to Danny Wallace's strong writing and strong voice acting. Well, no, he didn't write the script. Thanks to Danny Wallace's kind of strong voice work. And I kind of wish that the Shapes had some basically voice acting, because it would have been interesting what their voices would have been like. But Danny Wallace carries it extremely well. But yeah, pretty much the blocks, the rectangles, are just they're so great to get to know. And by the end of their journey, you really got to kind of like connect with them in a very, not personal level. I guess in a sense a personal level, but you really get to connect with them. Because in a few seconds, you really understand their personality, and you really see where they're coming from and their motivations. It's very simplistic tales with them. Yeah, that kind of sums it up. So, give me just 1 second. And I'm back. Have to step away for just a couple of minutes, but not long. And I can always edit the video, so it's not like a huge big deal. But yeah, that kind of sums it up. I was just talking about the characters, and I think I pretty much summed it up pretty well. The characters are pretty much likable and endearing, except for Gray the Liar, but yeah, that kind of sums it up. I know this is one of my shorter reviews, and I'll make sure to edit this, so that pretty much that bit about that, or that section that was kind of quiet and silent, Yeah, that'll probably be edited out, but hey, that's fine. So yeah, I think 8 out of 10 for Thomas Was Alone is pretty fitting for it. I don't think it was anything groundbreaking in terms of the puzzles, but I thought it was very unique and it kept me going. Yeah, there was just too many positives that outweigh the negative. From one negative, which is kind of surprising, and it wasn't even me being conservative. I actually did like the game. It wasn't my favorite, but yeah, that kind of sums it up. I don't think it has a lot of replayability, and I think you could absolutely earn all the trophies. There's no platinum, but I think you could earn all the trophies in one day if you're really just a completist, but that's just additional details. Alright, so here is what's going to be the schedule for the rest of the week, and tomorrow, well, I guess pretty much when it reaches Wednesday, I'm not doing any streaming, like I mentioned in one of my earlier Thomas Was Alone videos. We're going to take that day to just take a break. Thursday and Friday are tentative. They're going to be tentative for now. I can't promise that too. If I can't do it Thursday or Friday, then we'll kind of move it for Sunday. Because I can't promise Saturday. I think Saturday is going to be off the table, but tentatively Thursday, I can't promise that. Tentatively Friday, but we can at least do some streaming to... If we can't do it Thursday or Friday, then maybe I'll do it Wednesday, because, you know, state of play. I kind of want to talk about the trailers that will be coming out. 2 that are confirmed, we don't know what else is being shown up. That kind of sums it up, but really the major focus for this week until next week is going to be focusing on I Am Setsuna, pretty much all the Tokyo RPGs, try to finish it up. I know they're going to take... I know one article I was reading says I had to set apart literally 20 hours per game. Well, it's an RPG, so I kind of expected a bunch, but really kind of short in terms of how normal RPGs. 50 hours plus or 80 hours plus is kind of the norm for RPGs, but hey, c'est la vie. So, of course, you can leave that like, comment, or subscribe. What did you think about my Thomas Was Alone walkthrough or playthrough? Did you check out, or did you actually were interested? So, we'll go ahead and end the streaming here, and have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and stay tuned for more content. Yep, this is the last video for Thomas Was Alone. There's not going to be another video, so I hope you guys enjoy the short walkthrough. It's not going to be the first, but, alright, I guess we're done.